Hey guys, and welcome back once again to Rage Gaming and more Baldurs Gate 3. We're continuing our recent trend of interesting and useful topics that you might not have known about in the lead up to patch 7. I've been enjoying some different lore discussions recently, so I do have a cool one to talk about today, alongside a couple really useful tricks and useful interesting details to know. So with that said, let's begin. First up, a fantastic tip, especially useful for honor mode, without relying on bugged out vendors and cheesing your way to high gold. What if there was just a way to regularly inject a couple hundred gold into your party, and you can get started with it as soon as Act 1, being able to do it twice. A couple weeks back, I read a really clever idea by the Reddit user Revenant62, who brought up the high value of the owlbear egg. There's the owlbear cave in Act 1, where the main bear and its cub are, leading to a cub being recruitable for the camp long term. In that cave, there's a couple of interesting details, but we're worried about that egg. Here you can go in and just steal it after defeating the owlbear or other methods, but the main detail is getting the egg. It's listed as worth over 700 gold, and that's amazing, but most vendors are going to offer you half that value unless, say, you have high reputation with them. The thing is, as Revenant explained, you can sell this egg to many traders who will eventually then become enemies. After you defeat them, you can then just loot the egg right back, meaning you can sell it to the next trader you know you'll fight. A great example of that is, say, in the Goblin camp, where you first enter right where we see Volo being abused. There's also this Goblin vendor who offers a few different items. If you choose to sell the egg to this guy, that's going to be over 300 gold in your pocket, but then when you likely free the camp by, say, defeating the Goblin leaders and eventually defeat this entrance area, you'll kill the vendor. With that, you get to loot him and get the egg back while also keeping your 300 plus gold. As Revan also references, there's also, say, the false paladins that you deal with when recruiting Karlach. One of them is actually a vendor, so once again, before you fight them, trade, sell the egg, then kill them with Karlach, and again recover the egg. This is over 700 gold for nothing, without any special exploits, just using in-game mechanics that are going to stay forever. It's particularly useful in honor mode where you aren't reliably stealing so much and the risks in general are higher, so this concept can be applied to other things, other items as well. If you guys have any extra suggestions for it, let us know. Speaking of the Goblin camp though, did you know there's a spy in your camp? Specifically, this spy infiltrates the camp during the celebrations in Act 1. After you defeat the Goblin camp by killing all the leaders and freeing Halsin, the tieflings throw a party in your camp. It's quite a cute scene, various important characters will show up for some cute interactions. But one person who is not invited, and potentially unknown to us at that time, also shows up sneaking around near the bushes by the water. This is of course Corilla, an agent of Raphael. She's also the person that can save you from the priestess if you're foolish enough to be captured, and she can appear in Act 2 and of course also Act 3, serving Raphael's interests. She's also Hope's sister. She accepted the power and deal where Hope rejected it. But yeah, she sneaks into your camp to keep an eye on you as early as this, and she's entirely missable. If you were to walk up to her, she would instantly teleport away, leaving behind a faint smell of sulfur. But if you're fast enough to speak to her, she'll tell you to just enjoy the party, at least while you still can. Then she teleports away. Very ominous indeed. Since we touched on a bit of lore there though, let's now dive into that one for today. Within the artifact is the Guardian, as I'll call them for this video at least. The Guardian holds that power to manage the illithid that's in your head, and through many cinematics, we get more and more glimpses of what's going on in that dream world within the artifact. The truth is, it's not just a dream world, it's a different plane of existence. Seemingly, this is the astral sea. And the base that the Guardian functions from is a giant skeleton corpse. A huge body with a massive skull that is used as a prism. And what the hell is this giant body doing? Why is it never explained? Well, I also never thought about it until I saw a post on Reddit by the user Family Boss Primo. They were asking exactly this: who or what is that giant skeleton? If you stop and look at it, it has huge baubles, golden bands at the wrists, massive rings on its fingers, a giant crown even. Certainly something special. It was explained in the comments really well by a couple people, so I wanted to bring this up in a video. Firstly, what is the astral plane or the astral sea? It's just a plane of existence, whereas Gale put it, there's no time. It's an eternal place. Described as a place of in-between, you've got different planes like ours and say the 9 hells, and between those you have the astral seas. If you look at this image from the wiki page talking about it, it highlights it pretty well. And you can also see what that giant corpse is, as there are other dead gods here. That's what it is. The big events of the Guardian take place on a dead god, as though it's an island. That's where the Guardian made its base and that prison. As Reddit user Rosgath the OG put it, if something is dead in the astral sea, it's because it died both physically and from the minds of those who knew it. Killing a god in the Forgotten Realms is to eliminate it from the minds of their followers, to make everyone forget that god entirely. As Rosgath explained, evil gods would kill other gods' followers in an attempt to do this, while good gods would try a different method, like converting people or stealing the knowledge away. Basically, once no one remembers them, it is possible for a god to die. Specifically though, the one we see in the artifact is confirmed by the digital art book of Baldurs Gate 3. It is the remnants of a quote, long dead, now unnamed god. Honestly, this is really cool stuff, and I'd never thought about it until now. Next up though, here's a fun one. Did you know that Astarion has a unique dream, or rather, nightmare in the early game? Yes, if you're playing as Astarion in his origin playthrough, you get to experience a unique nightmare instead of dreaming about the Guardian for the first time that happens. So, as the Tav or everyone else will have their first Guardian dream, Astarion has this nightmare, and it's about Cazador, his former master. This is how you can see Cazador before Act 3, getting a real look at Astarion's backstory well before any of it's normally explained. Astarion finds himself in a dark and cold forest, hearing the voice of his former master, telling him not to drink the blood of thinking creatures, to obey him in all things, and you should never leave his side. And then finally we actually see him as he appears from a portal to tell Astarion that he owns him forever. After that, Astarion will wake up from that nightmare, have some more interesting considerations if you're brand new to the game and don't know about this stuff, but it's very cool. Little extra details and content that you find only in the Origin playthroughs. Lots of little things that, you know, a lot of us will never see normally. Moving on, here's just a funny one you might not have known, but is brand new to me. There's that Tall House boss in Act 2, one of the Thorms. It's a unique enemy that's covered in gold, and it demands gold from you. Now, I personally would always just shove her off the side here, as she's standing at the top of a tower. It's a very easy kill. Since she has so much health and there's a bunch of enemies here, I just find that very effective, and that's what I've always done. But instead of that, did you know that you can completely expose her? Strip off all that gold, leaving the truth of her form on display. She's actually very weak. When fully stripped, she has 6 hit points. She's very ghoulish, and she has these 2 pointed horns sticking out from her forehead. They're quite big. So a pretty cool reveal, and one I just didn't know about until recently. To do it, you just need to kill all of those floating heads around her, but you need to specifically be in combat with her when you do that, rather than, say, executing them in a turn separately. As you do it though, each head will remove some of that gold plating or covering, until eventually she's fully exposed with a small health pool. Perhaps if I ever thought to do this normally, I would have seen this, but yeah, when there's a big drop like that, it's hard not to kick someone off it. Lastly for the video, just a quick and pretty useful tip. The flawed Helldust set can be gained with one singular infernal alloy instead of multiple infernal ions that could instead be used for Karlach's quest. The single infernal alloy you need is in the grymforge, from this NPC, the stonemason Kith, in the opening area. They can actually sell it to you, but instead you can also get it for free. This guy is trying to understand the rubble and history of the location, and if you pass his 3 checks, you can get the alloy for free. You need to pass the history, investigation, and perception check. Just be warned though, you will need to pass all 3, otherwise you need to buy it or even kill him. The check is pretty cool though. It reveals that the Grymforge is ultra old and has had 2 separate groups here with long years between them. It was all ended though when some kind of giant beast from hell attacked, which is why this unique infernal alloy is even here to collect, which is what he's giving to you. From there though, you can go to Act 2 as normal and then find Damned, trade him the alloy instead of the iron. Be sure to choose the I found this metal in a place called the Grymforge, what do you make of it line, because you can repeatedly use this line with him until the entire Flawed Helldust set is made. This saves you all the iron for Karlach, which is just nice to know, and is a very easy way to get the full set. But there you have it, another set of useful and hopefully interesting things you might not have known about. If you've got anything you'd like to add to the topics today, or anything to suggest for a future video, let us know in the comments. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.